Hey guys, it's Jessica with Southern Sparrow, and today is Lunar New Year, so I thought what better time than today as we welcome in the year of the fire horse to talk about the history of Mahjong and its origins in China and how American Mahjong came to be from that Chinese game and how the two variations of the game differ, because they're really quite different aside from the fact that they both use tiles. So, if we look at the history of Mahjong, and the book that I love the most is by Annalise Hines, and she really delves deep into the history of Mahjong and into the history of American Mahjong and its cultural significance. And if you're at all interested in history, I highly recommend her book. It's fabulous. So the game Mahjong was actually originated in China in the middle to late 1800s. Round about 1850 it was introduced and then became very, very popular towards the second half of that century. And it started to migrate west in the 1920s. So in the 1920s, more and more Americans were traveling to China and then coming home, and they were bringing home beautiful Mahjong sets, having learned the game on vacation, and then bringing the game home to teach their friends at home. And it had this enormous boom as a game in the 1920s in the United States. Even President Harding was playing it at the White House, and it was almost similar to the boom in Mahjong that we're seeing today, where it was a very popular way to kind of have an excuse to get together with your friends and play a great game. And it continued to be very popular. And then kind of towards the end of the 1920s, there was something that we were seeing where, like any game that you learn on vacation and then bring home and try to teach your friends, different people were teaching it different ways. And all of a sudden there were all these different variations of the game being taught and being played. And so it was difficult for groups to come together and play with new people because they may have learned a different way. And so in the 1930s, a group of Jewish women got together in New York and they created the National Mahjong League. And the National Mahjong League's goal was to kind of standardize the game, to make it easy for people to come together and be playing all the same game. So if you were an American Mahjong player, you were all going to be playing from the same rules on the same standardized card with the same hands, and it just made it easier for people to get together and know that they were able to sit down at a table with people they had never played before and all still be playing the same game. And it was at that time when the National Mahjong League was formed that Chinese Mahjong and American Mahjong really came to this fork in the road, and they became very distinct versions and variations of the game. So Chinese Mahjong and American Mahjong are really quite different.